What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's Filthiest Pitches of the Day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. Do it right now. Be a part of the biggest and best daily baseball show on YouTube. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with Tyler Anderson, who had 4 Ks in 8 innings, giving up 2 runs. He had this fastball, changeup, and cutter. And he faced Lucas Giolito, who had 9 Ks in 7 innings, but gave up 4 runs. Gio got his Ks on his fastball, his sliders for his sword, as well as his nasty changeups. He struggled early in this game but battled and seemed to get stronger as the game went on. A few signs of him turning things around. Trent Thornton had 3 Ks in 2 innings, giving up 1 run. He may have had the filthiest pitch of any starter yesterday. Look at this sweeper that broke 21 inches. That thing is a total frisbee. And he faced Aaron Savali, who had 3 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 4 runs and had this fastball and curveball. Chris Sale had 5 Ks in 4 innings, but gave up 6 earned runs. He had these sliders and changeups, but it really seems like the Orioles have his number this year. Sale faced Jack Flaherty, who had 3 Ks in 3 1/3 innings, giving up 4 runs and had this elevated fastball and knuckle curve. Johan Oviedo had 4 Ks in 3 2/3 innings, giving up 3 runs. He had this sinker, slider, and curveball, but probably his biggest pitch this game was this inside fastball to Acuna, which Acuna took exception to, causing the benches to clear. Oviedo faced Dylan Dodd, who had 2 Ks in 4 innings, giving up 4 runs and had these changeups. Logan Webb had 4 Ks in 6 scoreless innings. He got Ks on his changeup and sliders and lowered his ERA to 3.4. Zach Thompson had 6 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 3 runs. He had this fastball, curveball, and cutter, and I thought he looked pretty good. He seems like he's a solid option in the Cardinals' rotation. He faced Carson Spires, who only had 1 K in 3 innings, giving up 4 runs. He got the K on his elevated fastball. But his best pitch of this game was this slider that hit Edman on this swing and miss, adding injury to insult. Christian Javier had 5 Ks in 4 innings, giving up 4 runs. He had this elevated fastball, slider, and changeup. And he battled Seth Lugo, who had 2 Ks in 4 1/3 innings, but gave up 6 runs and had this fastball. Aaron Nola had 6 Ks in 4 1/3 innings, giving up 4 runs. He started out strong with these fastballs and curveballs, including this one that gets Stallings to stand straight up, and also worked in some dirty changeups, and he looked really good up until the 5th inning. But the good thing for me is he looked good long enough to help me win my K-prop parlay, because he picked up 6 Ks and then gave up a bunch of hits. I'm sorry, Aaron, but at this point it's all about me. He faced Johnny Cueto, who had 3 Ks in 3 2/3 innings, giving up 5 runs, and had this changeup. Nathan Eovaldi had 3 Ks in 2 1/3 innings, giving up 3 hits and no runs, and had this cutter and slider. He faced Sean Newcomb, who was really good with 5 Ks in 4 innings, giving up only 1 hit and no runs, and had this fastball and curveball. David Peterson had 8 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 3 runs, and had these fastballs, changeups, and dirty sliders. He faced Kenta Maeda, who had 2 Ks in 5 1/3 innings, giving up 2 runs, and had this nasty splitter. Bobby Miller had 8 Ks in 7 innings. He gave up 5 runs, but his stuff looked pretty good. He had these fastballs, changeup, and I thought his curveball was his best pitch of the game. He threw some real hammers. He faced Jake Irvin, who had 4 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 1 run. Irvin had these fastballs and also worked in a few changeups, but I also thought his curveball was his best pitch of the game. I mean, look how wicked these things are. I definitely think Irvin has a solid future as a starter. Speaking of solid starters, Cy Young contender Justin Steele had 6 Ks in 7 innings, giving up 1 run, and it was a typical Steele outing, dominating with his fastballs and sliders, including this back foot slider. And here's an overlay of his fastball and slider, and you can see why he can dominate with just those 2 pitches. He tunnels them really well. And his fastball's already tough to hit because it has a little cut to it. So when he tunnels these pitches, it makes it really tough on hitters. Steele's now the new MLB ERA leader at 2.49, and his record on the year is 16-3. Those definitely sound like Cy Young type numbers. He faced Merrill Kelly, who was also really good yesterday, with 6 Ks in 5 2/3 innings, giving up 1 run. He got Ks on his fastball, his painted cutter, as well as these changeups. Kevin Gausman was outstanding yesterday with 10 Ks in 8 innings, giving up only 2 hits. And you know what? I'm going to give him a co-filthiest starting pitcher of the day. He picked up Ks on his usual combination of fastballs and splitters, and here's a fastball and splitter overlay. He tunnels those pitches really well, and the velo difference and movement difference leads to a lot of swings and misses on that splitter. He faced James MacArthur, who was the opener, who had 1 K in 2 perfect innings and had this painted two-seamer. Wade Miley had 3 Ks in 3 2/3 innings, giving up 1 earned run, and had these cutters and changeups. And he faced another one of my filthiest starting pitchers from yesterday, Michael King, who had 9 Ks in 5 innings, giving up only 1 earned run and 4 hits. King has totally proven himself to be a solid starter for the Yankees with his combination of fastballs, including this sinker, as well as his changeups and sweepers. And here are a couple of overlays that show why King is so tough to hit. These are fastball and sweeper overlays. And you can see, one, how he can tunnel them and make them look identical, and then as a hitter swings, that sweeper dives out of the zone. Or he can make his fastball start out as a ball and that sweeper start out as a strike and have them crisscross. Michael King is a filth merchant. My final co-filthiest starting pitcher of the day yesterday was Tarik Skubal. Skubal was fantastic with 9 Ks in 5 innings, giving up only 2 hits and no runs. And when Skubal is on, he is really, really good with his fastballs, sliders, and changeups, and that changeup has a 45.6% whiff rate this season. Skubal's ERA this year is now 3.47, and I look for him to be a force in the next few years. Now onto my filthiest relievers. Jose Alvarado had this 98-mile-an-hour gas. Alex Faedo had this wicked slider. Jake Diekman had this fastball and slider. And I thought this was cool because he's become much more effective since he's been on the Rays. And you can see in this graph how his release point has changed since going to the Rays. They moved him over a bit on the rubber, getting a more extreme position, which creates a tough approach angle for hitters. The Rays are so good at getting the most out of pitchers. Julian Merriweather had these sliders. Craig Kimbrell had this knuckle curve and then this fastball that caused a rise to have an instant exit. He swung, kind of slipped, and just kept on going. Wandy Peralta had this dirty changeup. Alex Lang had these nasty curveballs. Jeff Hoffman had this splitter. David Bednar had this fastball and splitter. Fernando Cruz had this fastball and splitters, and his splitter is one of the filthiest pitches in baseball right now with a 55% whiff rate, and opponents are hitting under 100 against it. Colin Holderman had this wicked sweeper. Justin Topa had these sinkers. Ryan Helsley had this overpowering 102-mile-an-hour fastball. Shintaro Fujinami had this 100-mile-an-hour heater, and also made this ridiculous play at first base, showing that pitchers are indeed athletes. I also like how he turned around and tried to find a 4th out. I'm just going to get everybody. I also thought these comments from some of my Japanese followers really helped give some insight into what Fuji was like in Japan. Because I've seen the same thing in the US. He's a bit timid, and he really wants to do well and puts a lot of pressure on himself, which is why I think Adley Rutschman is the perfect catcher for him. Adley does a great job of building up pitchers. Fuji's got amazing talent, and if he gets that confidence, watch out. And my filthiest reliever of the day yesterday was Ryan Presley, who had this slider and then these curveballs of 3,375 RPMs and 3,448 RPMs. Just unhittable buzzsaws. Also, I want to give a shout out to Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who threw a no-hitter yesterday. He became the first pitcher in Japan to throw no-hitters in back-to-back seasons since they moved to 2 divisions back in 1950. And this was the 100th no-hitter in Japanese history. He's now 14-5 with a 1.26 ERA in Japan and has a scoreless streak of 42 innings. And guess what? He's coming to the major leagues next year. Watch out. And now, my pitching ninja moment of zen. It's Zack Greinke pitching to his kids. And I love his little kid both switch hitting and then bat flipping him. That is a smooth bat flip, and I matched him up against Zack Greinke's own bat flip. Greinke definitely throws the bat a little further, but his son, pretty darn smooth with it. What is up, everybody? My picks of the day today are 3-leg parlay. I'm going to start with Zach Eflin for 6 Ks or more, then take Cole Reagans for 6 Ks or more, and top it off with Garrett Cole for 7 Ks or more. What would your picks of the day be?